G'day everyone, Kaldorei Bard here, back at it again with another video of course, and boy, have I got a video for you. Gather up boys, gather around, I got something to tell you.
Fucking Sunwell, what is it now?
He has most certainly roped us into one of his skits again.
Just great.
Hey,
Get on with it, I suppose.
you want to be a retainer and a sort of gunslinger rogue, right?
That is the assigned spec that I've selected, yes?
Well, of course you did. And you? You want to be something between a mix between blood and frost. You know, a mix between the whole things, right? Actually, more so a rider of the apocalypse, yes?
A ride a motorbike. So yeah, guess so.
Of course you do. And you just want to hit things. That's all you do, really.
Really, dude?
Anyway, all of you can be those things, but you'd suck.
Scathing, William.
I suppose you're trying to make a point.
What I mean is that if you choose these specific specs, you're going to suck.
Yeah, I think you need to lay off the wine, Lordy boy.
I'm talking about hero talent and how class fantasy is going to be tied in to your gameplay. And I mean in a serious way. It's going to affect your damage. It's going to affect whether you belong in the meta or not, if you know what I mean.
Is that so?
Alright, I'm listening.
Well then, allow me to elaborate. Coming out in the War Within is a new feature called Hero Specs.
The correct term is actually hero talents.
Essentially what that means is you're getting a spec on top of your spec.
Alright, I'll just be ignored then.
Yeah, just give it up, dude. He's gonna say whatever he wants to say.
So it's like a new tree. We're on an already established tree.
Think of it like covenants, or like artifact talents, just without the AP bar.
I don't know how they came up with that, that's just the way it is, so we're going to go with that. When it first made its debut on BlizzCon, the majority of people, in my opinion, were rather excited, eager to see how these basically building blocks upon your own class fantasy is going to be established. You want to be a sentinel hunter, or you want to be a dark ranger hunter. Looks like we're getting those. You want to be a rider of the apocalypse or a Sandlayan death knight? Man, this sounds friggin' awesome. Only that the more we hear about it, the less so it is the fact. Now, to be fair on Blizzard, they did establish prior that this is not going to be class skins, that this is essentially going to be something of a new system that they are establishing. And, of course, they have mentioned time and again that they want us to give them feedback, some serious feedback, because they know that these systems, well, this new system is going to essentially require a lot of work, and they want to make the players happy based on this. But the players aren't really that happy about the system. Mind you, the players are rarely happy about anything. You're not going to please everyone, obviously, but there seems to be this universal agreement that hero talents aren't exactly as exciting as we think they are. As established before, you're going to choose a hero spec that you feel like aligns with what your character would do. You want to be the Sentinel Hunter, or an Oracle Priest. Oh, let's get into the Oracle then. People aren't really happy with the way the Oracle is coming out. If you've been living under a rock, it has been sparking quite a lot of discord within the community, because when you roll with Oreo, bleh, no, when you roll, fuck me, when you roll an Oracle Priest, you are essentially going down the path of a support spec, of which your hero talent abilities will be situated around the power infusion spell. So of course it's got a new name called Premonition, but priests obviously don't like the power infusion spell, and having to be centered around that and going down the path of a support spec, their healer rendition of it essentially, doesn't exactly mesh well with someone who's trying to get into the fantasy of an oracle. In a way, you feel like you have to choose a fantasy, a class fantasy, that would be better suited towards your gameplay, when you personally want to get into the fantasy of being an oracle. So there's this sort of conflict between player power and player agency, player customization. And I suppose the concern there is that that potential issue with oracle priests will then bleed out to the various other hero specs. Perhaps you want to play as a Dark Ranger. I'm pretty sure there's some discord over there as well, with Dark Rangers unable to use melee attacks, because it should be in a survival spec. So it doesn't quite make sense why the Dark Ranger is just pure range, while the other two get their, melee spec. And that's when I've been starting to think about this. The whole gameplay climate that World of Warcraft used to have, where it was basically just for, your sweaty gamers, the high-end mythic raiders, going at it, mid-maxing, playing the meta, you know how it goes. All that seems to not really mesh well with the current climate of the way the game has been going, which is real interesting because it goes to show that the mindset for World of Warcraft has changed over time. We have become less mid-maxi based and want more, the game to feel like an RPG, a place where you can actually customize your character, have that player agency and the freedom to feel like you can be whatever you want, so to speak. With hero talents coming in, it does feel like it's something akin to Covenants, but with far less restrictions, much easier access. However, you're tying yourself to a fantasy that may not necessarily be the best choice when you're going into a raid or something like that. People, in my opinion, want class skins, essentially, and that's what they were hoping hero talents will be. So everyone has been wanting class skins, the ability to feel like a Dark Ranger, a Nightblade rogue or whatever. It doesn't seem to deliver that. It seems to be just trying to reinvent Covenants or trying to add another layer of systems on an already established system. Whether it will work out in the current concept that it is, it doesn't look like that it might be going down that road. But then again, we haven't reached alpha yet, so it is way too early to determine whether that will be the fact. But that is the current feeling about hero talents, much akin to the way people reacted to Azerite power. They weren't quite happy with the talents, and so there was a lot of forewarning. And I think Blizzard, when they conceived this idea, I think they were quite wary of this, and they really wanted to get to work on trying to sort out the system as early as possible so that they have a head start into letting players feel good about the hero talents that they're going to be selecting. Then again, I do believe that the current climate, the current mindset of players, isn't really into that, isn't into really playing the meta. I mean, take me for example. I consider myself the average Joe, the average player, dabbles in a little bit of everything, but doesn't do too sweaty and things like that. If I were to choose a hero talent, I would honestly be aiming for the talents that I felt were cool to me. I really do not care about damage or things like that. In fact, let me confess a little sin. I will purposefully detriment myself when it comes to the group contribution in like big raids and things like that, just because I want to roll with talents that I think sound cool. I want to be the invisible stabby guy that comes in, that is constantly stealth, that just goes bang bang. That's the way that I want to play. Unfortunately, it's not necessarily the most optimal way to play in the game, and that will earn you a swift kick from the group, just like that. Bam, gone. And since there's a 60-second timer before we're removed from the group, I do respectfully ask for an explanation as to why I've been kicked out. And if I don't get that explanation within 30 seconds or, just a little more, the dark urge sets in and I am guilty of pulling the boss at the last second and just getting in there. Look, I'm a petty bitch. Just shut the fuck up.
The term petty scarcely encapsulates it. You're inclined to harbour enduring resentments for even the most trifling offences directed your way.
Thank you for your input, Zal. Anybody else?
Well, I understand why you'd be miffed about getting kicked for going with an unconventional spec. But yeah, wiping the whole group is kind of a dick move.
No, it's not a dick move. I call it revenge.
What? One guy spoils your fun, so you go up and kill the whole group.
As I've said already, Hero, it's a petty move.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think you're projecting anger issues over shit damage, Lordy boy.
Hero, I give them a simple choice. They let me play the way that I want to play, or I kill the entire group. I don't see the problem there.
Suddenly, my life expectancy feels drastically smaller.
All of our friends are dead because of you, you know.
Well, they need to get the fuck over it. Alright, confessing my sins aside. Actually, that sounds like a cool idea for a video. Let me know in the comments if you'd like that to be a video. WoW players confess their sins. That's an idea. Let's do that for next time. But yeah, back to the subject. Most players, like myself, just want to play the way that they want to play. They don't really necessarily care about what ability is going to get them the most damage. They're more so going to care about, oh, what's this flashy ability that, you know what? This ability sounds like something that I would like to use. Hell yeah, let's go with that. Done. But it's not necessarily going to be the most optimal way to play. And I suppose everyone gets a little bit pissed off when they're getting kicked from the group because they're not doing the amount of damage that is to be expected, because you have this problem with specs as they are already as well. There's an optimal spec, and not everyone's going to play that spec, but you feel like you're going to be forced to play that because you're not going to do the amount of damage that everyone expects you to do. And I suppose it's a very hard thing to juggle here. The current climate of WoW yearns for a lot more easygoing, expressive way of playing, as opposed to outright, I'm doing the best damage. There was a time where the game did feel like it was catered to the 2%, the 2% high-end players. Forgive me for saying this, most of us really don't give a shit about the high-end content. We really do care about, we want to dabble there when we feel like it, but if we want to do Mythic, we want to use our cool abilities. We want to feel like we're a flashy Death Knight, amazing rogue, a fire-breathing fucking mage, whatever. All we want to do is just be within our fantasies. Not that type of fantasy. There's a time and a place for that type of thing. Go to Goldshire, plenty of it around. We do have our own idea of how we want to play our class, and I feel like the cosmetic and the appeal to classes is less so the type of damage that you do, and more so the type of player you want to be. The type of fantasy and immersion you want to feel immersed within this world. You want to feel like you are this kick-ass rogue, you are this kick-ass warrior. You want to be one of those legendary Warcraft fantasies. You want to be a sentinel, you want to be a farseer, you want to be an archmage. Those things are cool, and when you feel like that, you sort of get more immersed in the world that you're playing. This is my opinion, of course. But if you have a different opinion on the matter, or you have more to add on the subject, please, by all means, comment down below, let me know your thoughts, and if you like the video, subscribe, ring that bell, give us a like, because you know what? Every little bit of support counts. Anyway, guys, that's what I wanted to talk about. I'll catch you in the next one. See you later, guys.